Hi guys, I'm back again today with another video, and today we're checking out weird but genius things in Finnish student apartments. Well, I'm curious about this, so before we do start, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell button, and let's find out.
In this video, I will show you a couple of weird but still awesome things about Finnish homes and specifically Finnish student apartments.
Okay.
What's up guys and welcome back to the channel. If this is the first time we are meeting, my name is Oliver and I'm a master's student in economics at Aalto University here in Finland. And on this channel we'll talk about education and early career development, specifically here in Finland. So if you are new here, do consider subscribing. So while the example in this video is a student apartment, many of the things that I'm going to show in this video actually apply to Finnish homes in general, especially when we're talking about more modern and new buildings. Anyways, let's go check them out. Alright, so the first thing about Finnish homes that a lot of international people wonder about are actually the windows. So in Finland, basically every single building has at least double glazing, while some might even have triple glazing, meaning that you have at least 2 or 3 window panes in the window itself. For example, here we have 2 different window panes insulating the room from outside. So the biggest reason here is actually insulation, because in the winter when it's really cold, the double glazing makes sure that our homes stay warm. However, in addition to the heat insulation, as you can actually hear, the double glazing also works as really good sound insulation, meaning that with a good set of double windows,
I need that in my life, especially here. Our houses are like built like this, right? We're close to one another, and people don't care about quiet. They like to be like shouting, or the kids, the cars, like everything is just so crumped together, and it's always noisy. It's always noisy. I use this, but I think most of the time you guys can hear also the background. If I don't use, like, let's say a microphone and then the whatever this is called. Oh, the annoyance. Like back in the days, if you go to my old videos, you can hear like all sorts of noises. We need that. I need that.
you can actually barely hear the sound from the street below. If we actually test this for an example. The window is open and the window is closed. So
That is
actually
the
a similar
soundproofing I
thing
need.
is happening with our doors as well. So it's really common in Finnish apartment buildings to actually have double doors. The light is absolutely terrible, but so it's normal to have double doors. Again, not only does this help with the heat insulation, but more importantly, this actually helps with soundproofing the apartment. And this makes a huge difference when you think about voices coming from the corridor inside to your apartment. Second thing, actually a funny thing that I heard from an international friend of mine about the double doors is that actually that also prevents people from peeking through the mail slots or boxes that we have. That is actually something that he said that he really likes, because in their home country that is actually possible to peek through. But yeah, so double doors basically. And the second thing that you really need to understand about the doors in Finland, how they work, is the locks, how the locks work. And I know that this might sound really funny, but I've heard way too many stories of internationals, especially students, getting locked outside of their apartments because they did not know about this. So in Finland, when you actually close a door behind you, the door actually locks itself. So you don't have to turn, or you actually cannot, in some cases, turn a key to actually lock the door. Rather, the door will automatically lock behind you. So it's really important to have your keys with you every time you leave the apartment and close the door behind you. So while we're talking about doors and locks, it's also good to mention what kind of keys we actually use in Finland. So this only applies to buildings that have these modern electric locks. However, for example, in this building, we use these kind of smart electric keys that are really, really cool. So how these work is that these are actually coded to work with specific doors in your building. So you basically need just one key for all the different doors that you can actually have access to. So also how this works is that when you actually move out from your apartment, you will return the key to your landlord, who will then repurpose by recoding the key to work for the next tenant. But yeah, this is really cool because you basically just need one key for the entire building instead of, having one for the outer door, for your own door, then one for the storage room, etc. So yeah, these are awesome. All right, so the next thing applies specifically to...
That's so interesting. What do you mean one for the whole building? It still doesn't make sense to me, but I'm happy that it works. But you know what? I'm not gonna think about it. I'm just gonna trust the process because if I rack my brains, I'm gonna be here the whole day.
A lot of student apartments in Finland, and that is that most student apartments actually do not have a dishwasher pre-installed. In my experience, only large shared student apartments might have a dishwasher, but in general, this is very rare. So if you really don't want to wash your dishes by hand, you have to buy a dishwasher yourself. And actually talking about this, an additional note that applies to all apartments in Finland is that if you buy a dishwasher, you also have to hire a professional plumber to install it in your apartment. So why this is so important is that if you install the machine yourself and it leaks, your insurance company will not cover any of the damages caused by the leaking. So do you know that appliance stores usually sell the installation as an additional service, and it costs like 20 to 50 euros depending on the store. So I really recommend that you don't skimp here, but simply pay the extra money for the delivery and installation so that you don't have to worry about this at all. So because a lot of apartments, especially student apartments, don't have dishwashers, we of course have to wash our dishes by hand. And because of course you don't want to have all of your dishes drying on the counter because it's all messy and yucky, basically this Finnish invention saves all the trouble. So basically what this is a drying rack for your dishes, and this is something that basically every single Finnish household has pre-installed in their kitchens. The way this simply works is that you have the dishes drying here in the cabinet out of sight.
Smart. Because we don't have dishwashers here in the Philippines too. I mean, like it's not common. Probably there are modern houses that have them now, or some people bought them and install them now. But most houses that you go to, you don't see it. So we do it like this, the manual way. But this smart, smart. Oh, that's why. Oh, we okay. Architectures and engineers in the Philippines. Hello, let's start this. I don't think I've ever seen a house yet here that I've been to that has this. We need this. Because if you go to most of Filipino houses, you go to the kitchen and you see all the dishes on the freaking sink. It's just there. It's like Tetris because we're like piling them on top of one another. Right.
Side out of mind, and the water will drip directly into the sink, making everything much more tidier and nicer compared to if you had actually all the dishes drying here on the counter and spreading the water all over the place. All right, next let's actually move into the washing room and check out what kind of things we have there in normal Finnish households. So in Finland, it's actually quite normal for people not to buy a drying machine in addition to their washing machines. So unless you have a large apartment with a very large bathroom or a dedicated laundry room, a lot of the times we don't actually have enough space here to have a tower installed. Rather, people usually air dry their clothes using drying racks. So these kind of drying racks are super common in Finnish households, and while they do take a bit of space and it takes a bit of manual work to set everything to dry, these actually have some really cool benefits to them as well. The best of them being that drying like this actually expands the lifespan of your clothes, because this is much more delicate than, for example, spitting your clothes in a dryer, hundreds and hundreds of times. So talking about laundry, the next awesome thing about Finnish apartment buildings is the growing use of shared laundry rooms. So using a common laundry room has its pros and cons. First, this naturally saves you quite a bit of money because you don't have to buy a washing machine nor a dryer because these laundry rooms usually have dedicated dryers that you can use. Second, this will naturally save you some money in water and electricity costs because the cost of the laundry rooms is already taken into account in your rent. Finally, using a common laundry room naturally saves quite a bit of space in your apartment. However, there are also a couple of cons about these common spaces as well. First of all, if you have a very sensitive skin and you can't use any kind of softeners or scented detergents, using these common laundry machines might actually not be suitable. This is because they are used by a lot of people in your building and there is always some residue left from other people's detergents, and that might actually become a problem if you have a very sensitive skin. A second con would of course be that you can't wash your clothes whenever you want because you have to first reserve a machine for a certain time slot, and those might not always be available when you need them. Anyways, for the next thing, we need to take the elevator upstairs. Alright, so the next thing on this list is something super important, and it's something that you can find in every single Finnish apartment building, and that is of course the sauna.
See, that key just open the sauna. It's just like all the keys for everything. But I think maybe what he meant, okay, maybe that's why my brain didn't work a while ago. But I think what he meant is he has two key. One key is for everything in the building. The other one is for his apartment. I think because I was thinking one key for everything plus his apartment, but that doesn't make sense. So let me know. It's two keys, one for all, like the laundry, the main door, and then the sauna and whatever else, and then one key for your apartment, right? Did okay? Now it makes sense.
So saunas are a super important part of the Finnish culture, and we have almost 2 million saunas for a population of about 5.3 million people.
Whoa,
So the
whoa.
basic concept of sauna is super simple. So all saunas have a basket of rocks that are heated by a wooden, or in this case an electric stove. When you throw water on top of the warm rocks, you increase the humidity in the room, and this is what we call löyly. And the steam that this generates increases the feeling of heat and it makes you sweat. This also makes you feel extremely relaxed, and it's almost like a purifying experience. So again, as with many other things on this list, how and where a sauna in your building has been built depends on the age of the building. In many old buildings, especially in the city, saunas are usually built in the underground areas, and many of them actually double as bomb shelters. However, what I think is awesome is that in many modern buildings like this one, we have the sauna on the rooftop just like this. So this is actually brilliant because not only do you get a terrace where you can actually cool off between löyly, but the atmosphere is just out of this world, and of course this also functions as a great terrace during the summer. So before any Finns watching this start writing angry comments about this being an expensive area and that rooftop saunas are still rare, yes, that is true. The area where this student building resides is pretty much brand new, but it also represents a new way of building and utilizing space, and these kind of facilities are built more all the time. Again, how this works is that we basically have the sauna behind these windows, and then we have this awesome, massive.
I low-key forgot it was a student apartment. I thought this was like a working single person's apartment. Because student apartments here, unless you're bougie and rich, this is how it's gonna look like. But for student budget, for an average like middle class, it's not gonna look like this, sweetheart. Sorry. This is so nice already. And then maybe, yeah, like he said, the comment is gonna say, oh, this is like the most expensive ones or the expensive areas or something like that. But I bet even the cheaper ones will be way better than our average ones, right? I want to see now the cheaper ones.
Rooftop terrace where we can actually come and cool off between löyly. Before we continue to the next section of this video, let me just stop for a second to thank hoas for their continuous support with this channel. So hoas, or the Foundation for Student Housing in the Helsinki region, is a non-profit foundation that rents, builds and maintains housing for students in the Helsinki metropolitan area. I've been living in their apartments throughout my studies, and I really recommend that you apply for one of their almost 10,000 student apartments in the Helsinki region. More information about hoas and their apartments through the links in the description box below. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is that in Finland we like to recycle as much as we can. In older and say normal apartment buildings, you would have different recycling bins at minimum for mixed bio, cardboard, glass and metal. However, nowadays it's also really common that apartment buildings also separate their plastics, as many buildings have a separate bin for those as well. So normally you would have a kind of a shed where you have all the waste bins together. However, we live in a new residential area that has been built only after 2012. And this area is actually a testing ground for this really cool new waste disposal system called rör. This entire massive residential area uses these kind of pipes that you can use to recycle all your trash. So these pipes actually have suction, and they lead to a single centralized waste processing space where the garbage truck goes to collect them. This means that we have no bins, meaning that the yards are much cleaner and we don't have any problems with overflowing bins because a truck is late or something like that. So
This is beautiful. I've never said beautiful to a trash. This is the most beautiful trash system, trash can, whatever, trash suction thingy that I've ever seen in my life. What? This is so genius. This is so genius. Wow. Wow. That's all I can say because I'm jealous and I'm happy for you guys.
So this is really cool, and it's already implemented in multiple new residential areas in the Helsinki region. Also, since these pipes and bins that you would normally have do not necessarily have individual units for things like glass, metal or large waste, many residential areas also have these separate recycling containers where you can drop off most of the things that you cannot recycle or dispose in your building itself. Also, since none of these collection bins or containers have bins for hazardous materials like batteries, nail polish bottles or similar items, there are separate recycling systems for them as well. For example, it is pretty common nowadays that electronic stores have a recycling service where you can simply drop off your old electronics without any charge, and they will take care of the recycling for you.
Wow.
So most apartment buildings in Finland have what we call häkkivarasto, that you could roughly translate as cage storage. So what this means is that we have these small storage spaces that each household has, and where you can store basically whatever you want.
Still, so it's part of the apartment? You guys are spoiled.
Things to keep in mind. First, you need to get your own lock into the doors. And second, these cages very rarely have electric sockets, so you cannot have anything that needs to draw electricity in these spaces. So many older buildings in Finland have these storage rooms underground or at the attic. So usually if the storage is in the attic, these spaces are actually not heated. So you need to take that into account when you think about what kind of things you want to store here. However, more and more of the new buildings in Finland have these storage spaces on the street level, which is great because it's really convenient when you, for example, move in or out, because the door opens directly to the street where you can pack the car or, for example, a van. All right, so the next awesome thing is actually behind this door. And as you can see from the icon, this is actually a bicycle storage.
Look, you know what? This video would have been shorter if we did what don't we have in this apartment. That will be like the simplest way to go about it. What don't we have? Maybe like a parking lot. Probably they have it. They didn't just show us because they have everything you could need. Like, I want to move in and I'm not a student, but I just want to live there. Like, let me live there now. What?
Again, as with the previous storage rooms, these bicycle storage rooms have traditionally been built underground so that they don't take any of the expensive ground level space that could be occupied, for example, by a cafe or something else. However, nowadays we see more and more of these on the street level, which again is awesome because it makes using this space and your bicycle super easy. These storage spaces are great not only because you can store your bike inside during the winter, but also because it's a great way to store your more expensive bikes inside, preventing them from being stolen from the street. Yeah, so as you can see, there are a lot of really cool, but maybe weird things that we do in Finland, especially with newer and more modern apartment buildings. I know that these are still pretty rare and not all buildings are like this, so I'd love to hear about your experience with Finnish homes. Personally, what do you find interesting or odd about Finnish homes, and which of these solutions would you like to see in your home country? Next up, I recommend that you watch this video and go through this entire playlist where I talk about things that you need to know about Finland. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
That was very interesting. I loved that video. I mean, I love that video. And also, I want all in my home country. Thank you very much. Um, yeah, especially the trash. The trash system. I know you might be like, there's so many other things that was beautiful. Why the trash? Because my beef with our trash system is so trash. It's so trash. Like you have to walk like a kilometer just so you can throw trash, which is trash, to be honest. Like you have to walk a long way carrying like a lot of bags just so that you can throw your trash. It's the most stupid thing ever. Because like I told you a while ago, our houses are built like really close together, so trucks cannot necessarily come into this small alleyways and so on and so forth. So they go like they put them in a very like larger space or maybe like the highway so that the trucks can just get it. And then if you live inside residential areas where trucks cannot go in, then you have to walk all the way to the main road to throw your trash, and it's so annoying, right? You have to do a hike and a half just so you can throw your trash. Um, and they collect trash only once a week, so that's why I have beef with our trash system, and that's why that one is more appealing to me than all of them. But anyways, this has been fun, and yeah, let me know if you have more input to this video. Let me know down in the comments. If you're from Finland, let me know, and if you have additional stuff that you want to tell me, leave it in the comment. Thank you guys for joining me as always, and I will see you tomorrow or in the next video. Bye.